at around 6 miles an hour. Then on Friday to end the week, getting back up to a high of 91 with mostly sunny skies. Partly cloudy on Friday night, low of 65. Then to start the weekend on Saturday, partly cloudy and a high of 87. And on Sunday, cloudy and a high of 83, wind out of the east at around 9 miles an hour.
K-Man Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
I was sent a sign today that clued me in on the news that came out today. And it wasn't from a religious god or a mentor or anything. It was a sign coming from the gaming gods. Because after the gym today, I had a little extra time this morning, so I got on the sticks and played a little college football 27, and I'm right now playing my K-State Dynasty, and today the Wildcats took on Houston and got the win. We're 5-0. Playing on the highest difficulty, may I add. But the biggest issue was my offensive line wasn't giving Avery Johnson a whole lot of time to throw the football. Especially on the left edge, and poor John Pastore was having issues. I'm screaming at the TV, John, what are you doing to me? And I just thought he was having a really rough day, or those at EA Sports just messed up his ratings and didn't give him enough, high enough ratings to mirror what he did last season and expectations for this upcoming season. And then it all adds up. It wasn't that John was having a bad day. He has a bad leg. He is trying to be a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. And it's hard to win those kind of contests when you have just one leg. Which leads me to the breaking news, or maybe even more the confirming news from earlier today, confirmed by head coach Coach Klein himself, and that is John Pastore, K-State's only returning lineman as a starter, and George Fitzpatrick will not play football this season. Welcome to the game. Mitch Fortner, Cole Dutchendorf, Lane Lewison back with us today across the glass, continuing his training with his sensei, Cole. The phone number is 785-537-1350. We're with you for an hour and a half today, and coming up at 5:05, K-State color analyst Stan Weber will join us. And, of course, got to ask him about, now down a couple of linemen. One maybe you kind of saw coming. The other you really hoped would play this year. Of course, how does Avery get to that next level? What could that look like? Is it just as simple as, coaches, don't be afraid of Avery getting hurt. Let him run the football. Let him take some chances. I mean, gosh, going back to, the halfway mark of 2024, it's been, we've been begging for Avery to run the football more. So could it be that? Could it be something else? We'll ask Stan coming up at 5:05. Plus 20 questions in 20 shows. Ironically, today's is about the offensive line. So, the timing couldn't be crazier. We'll certainly, we'll dive into it right now. No John Pastore at left tackle. No George Fitzpatrick. 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. That K-State will not have its starting left tackle heading into the season. Before the 2025 season, George Fitzpatrick, he has his medical episode, which, again, it's never really been confirmed. I kind of have a few whispers here and there about what exactly it is, but it's not for me to share. But it's serious. It's pretty serious, and that's gonna hold him out for another season. And then for him not playing, here comes John Pastore, who's already had a history of injuries. from banged up to serious to surgery. For him to get to the 2025 season, he had to have surgery. He had to go through 6 months of, rehab, whatever it takes to come back and get ready for that 2025 season. And he did a pretty good job for, an offensive line that nobody's going to remember in 5 years or 10 years. It's a forgettable offensive line that had some pass protection for sure. The run blocking didn't find a footing until Utah, which, there was somebody mixed in there, which is definitely something we're going to talk about as well today. But John Pastore got that opportunity because mostly in part of he was going to play, but there's a guy down. He stepped up, did a pretty good job. And now he's out. So who is going to be in John Pastore's spot? Coach Klein mentioned 3 names, and we'll hear from that here in just a little bit. But let's get to the statement now. Here was Coach Klein. It was Coordinator's Day for the press conference here during fall practice. The training camp, and we did hear from Sean Gleason and Jordan Peterson and Stanton Weber. We'll hear from Gleason a little bit today as well. The others will most likely wait until tomorrow. But here is Coach Klein, his full statement announcing the sad news.
Couple unfortuitous injuries, obviously. With starting with George, I think because the timing of his not clearing some of these benchmarks for his best interest and his health, the doctors have recommended that he basically not play this season to see if the cycle will come back for his long-term health before he plays again. I've told him in our conversations from the minute I got here that was the most important thing for him. Football is still not out of the question in his future by any stretch, but his long-term health and safety have always been at the forefront, and I think that's the best decision for him. And he's done everything and been an unbelievable teammate, and I feel my heart breaks for him because of how hard he's worked through this process to try to contribute to our program and our football team. A couple days ago, and we just got the confirmation with John Pastore. We'll have a season-ending lower leg injury, incredibly unfortunate, very freak in nature, out of really anyone's control. That, again, everything he's gone through and the work that he put in to get himself ready to go, to not be able to play this year is very, very unfortunate. But we're going to be with him through the recovery process, and he's been an unbelievable teammate as well through it. As far as the future and kind of what that looks like, this is why we've cross-trained a lot of guys since the minute we got here too, and so I think Ryan Howard, Tyler Johnson, Oliver Miller are all going to be in the mix and have a couple different combinations that we feel very, very good about and excited to see what we can put on the field. So those were kind of the main updates that, again, I just wanted to make sure you guys could hear it from me, and wanted to get to you guys. So thank you.
Tim Fitzgerald jumps in there, with the president speaking to the press, trying to be quick, sneaking those questions. But he asked about, can you pick up somebody in the transfer portal right now? I mean, the answer technically is yes, but I mean, my goodness, adding somebody as we are 16 days out from the season beginning, which, I mean, that's crazy in its own right. But Coach Klein said that, there's a couple of irons in the fire. They're exploring their options, and I get that. But right now, I mean, where K-State stands with a, potential mix and match and, trying some guys out or guys earning their starting spot in practice heading into the first game, which, again, 16 days out, September 5th against Nichols. They're trying to figure this out. There's time, but maybe not the most time in the world. Because I believe they're already through half of their practices. There's a lot of work that has to be done right now, a lot of figuring out about what is, or I should say who is going to emerge, because there's now a lot of inexperience getting a shot now to really play a lot of significant football. But we're going to get to that. I want to clear something up. When it comes to these two, I want to talk about something very important here that I think needs clarification. I think this is still something that not all of us still understand. So I want to try to clear this up. With George Fitzpatrick and John Pastore, I want to talk about eligibility. Because, as you may know, the NCAA rule now in place that 5 and 5. You get 5 years to play college football. Simple as that. With that, there are questions coming up now as, somebody like John Pastore, can he now go out and get a medical red shirt? Can he redshirt and get that extra year? George Fitzpatrick, is that something he can do? Well, here's a tough realization about that. Here's a tough reality of where this is all at now. With the 5 and 5, there are no more red shirts. There's no more red shirt. You can play 4 games and then you can red shirt. That's no more. I think it's actually very clearly stated. You get 5 years to play 5 years of football or whatever sport you're playing. 5 years. That's it.
Well,
you
it's
get
even
5.
more clear when it's talking about like the 5 years after your graduation date of high school or after you've turned 19 or something like that is in the rule books as well.
You get 5 years. That's it. There's only a handful of exceptions. And you either have to be serving in the military, you have had to use, Jake Clifton, he's going to have his eligibility frozen because he took a mission trip for a religious mission trip, or pregnancy. That's it. So, unless, I'm never ruling out hiring a lawyer and taking this to court and an injunction or whatever, but the realization is for John Pastore and George Fitzpatrick, their careers are over.
Yeah.
And that's tough. They are 2 of 3 linemen on this team. Michael Capri is the other one. Where next to their name, where it says class, it says 5th year. That is where they are at, despite their health issues, their surgeries, where their careers have taken them so far. These 2 natives of Denver, Colorado, with this announcement today, their college careers are over.
They've taken their last snaps. It's tough to deal with, and I feel for them tremendously.
I mean, George was here for 2 years. This is another part of the story, which, a gamble, I suppose, I don't know what was said or what doctors have said, what has gone on behind the scenes about, how close was he to actually playing? I think is certainly a fair question to ask. Now with George, is this something K-State maybe have been planning for the summer or during the summer? I would hope so. I mean, that gives you honestly a head start about what to do at the tackle positions. The young guys getting more reps with the first group, which Avery talked about that. They got a lot of reps, and they've been doing that, during this fall camp. But it is 2 years without him playing football, and he was chalked into being a starter, and that does sting. I mean, that is 2 years of being on the roster, 2 years of NIL money, and we never got to see him on the field. And John Pastore is preseason All Big 12, second team last year, preseason All Big 12 this year. I disagreed a little bit with Mason yesterday about what he said about the ramifications of John Pastore not playing. Well, yes, if it works out. Yes, it's a huge blessing, and boy, should that get you excited for 2027. Because watch, Oliver Miller, he's going to take off, and he's going to be too expensive to retain, and he's gone after this year because he's so good. Because you think about a young defensive tackle, especially a true freshman. I mean, the only one I can think of in K-State's history, Nick Leckie, he wasn't a tackle, but I'm just saying, as a lineman starting as a true freshman, Nick Leckie was starting at center. He never gave up a sack in his entire career, played in like 48 consecutive games, like an absolute stud. But to get in on the offensive line, game 1 as a true freshman,
it either means you're really dang good, or, as we could potentially be seeing, that the cards have fallen where they have and things got shuffled around.
And Tyler Johnson has minimal experience at Auburn. Most of his experience is on special teams as a lineman on PATs and field goals and things like that. But he's played like around 100 snaps in his career, so still not the most experienced. And then the other name that Colin mentioned was Ryan Howard, Will Howard's younger brother, which typical Howard, getting on the field because of a significant injury. Will Howard,
Right.
got on the field a lot because of injuries. And it took a while for Will to get there. But for Ryan Howard, I mean, he is inexperienced. I mean, to say the least.
Has he played?
He's never played ever.
I was going to say, I don't feel like I've seen him ever on the field.
Whether
it's offensively or special teams or otherwise.
I mean, he hasn't played a snap.
Yeah.
So and I think that kind of clears it up right at left tackle, it's going to be somebody new to us, and then still at right tackle, it appears that Gus Hawkins is still going to be the guy. So you're replacing somebody who did play every game last year, was second team All Big 12, preseason All Big 12 heading into the year, and replacing him with somebody with maybe no experience.
Basically zero experience, no matter how you chop it up. Whether it's a literal 18, 19-year-old kid, a guy who's been in the program but hasn't seen the playing field, or an SEC guy who was on the special teams. It's a little bit of a level drop-off.
Yeah, it's something, to take very seriously.
Yeah.
And that's why, these next couple of weeks, pretty important. Keep in mind, soft non-conference schedule. This isn't in the middle of Big 12 play. This isn't, when the conference, championship spot is on the line, or, right now nothing is truly riding on this.
It was the best time of the year for this to happen, unless it was like in the spring.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is I'm not really, I'm bummed out about this. I'm not going to freak out, though. I mean, to me, this isn't I don't know if this is a freak out situation. I'm not, because we don't know how this is going to turn out. Now, is it a bummer? Yes. Would we like this to not happen? Yes. Is this a major challenge for Colin Klein and his staff, for Mike Schmidt to figure this all out? Yeah, there's a little pressure here. But as Sean Gleason said, this is coaching. This sucks. But as Colin has said, as Sean Gleason said today, look, we've been working with these guys to cross train since they've been here. They're kind of already in a way prepared for some sort of scenario like this. Now, who's going to come out and emerge and be that next man up? I mean, to be a little bit of coach speak there, but that's where we're at. We need to pause right there. I think we do need to get to a break. Let's get to a break. We'll take a quick one, and we'll finish our short hour one. We still got Stan Weber coming up here in about 10 minutes or so. We'll continue with the game coming up next here on KMAN.
In Manhattan, building community means more than bricks and beams. It means innovation and partnership. At McCown Gordon Construction, we deliver feature-focused solutions to projects that shape our region. From advanced research labs to vibrant education, healthcare, and community hubs. We're not just building projects, we're building the future of the Flint Hills with unmatched customer experience and value-driven strategies. We're building for tomorrow. Visit kansas.mccown-gordon.com.
It's time for the 18th annual Speedy PD Race for Parkinson's Disease, presented by Little Apple Cars. Join us at Tuttle Creek State Park on August 29th to participate in the half-mile Memorial Walk Run, 5K, or 10K. Speedy PD is a fun and unique event that has something for the whole family. To register, go to runspeedypd.org. Proceeds support free services provided by Meadowlark Parkinson's Program. See you at Speedy PD, August 29th.
Central National Bank wants to put you in the driver's seat. They offer competitive rates on purchases and refinances of new and used cars, boats, and recreational vehicles. When it's time for your next adventure, set your GPS to Central National Bank and head out on your next journey in new wheels or no wheels. Offer credit is subject to credit approval.
Central National Bank, money for life.
Member FDIC, money for whatever since 1884.
Call the experts who care. M&S Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Summer is just around the corner, and with everything else going on, the last thing you want to deal with is your AC going down. It's time to call and schedule service checks. M&S Plumbing, Heating, and Air will make sure your AC is ready to keep you comfortable all summer long. For general maintenance, repair, and new central air units, call M&S Plumbing, Heating, and Air to keep you cool this summer. All right, we're back on the game, and I think I found an option for Pastore and Fitzpatrick. I haven't looked too much into this story, but correct me if I'm wrong, Cole or anybody. Like today or yesterday, did a judge not grant an injunction to like those who signed an NFL contract but are not making a team a chance to come back to the NCAA?
That is true. I believe it was Ole Miss.
Oh my God!
Shocker. There's like 3 Ole Miss starters from last year.
I'm sorry, but if you're somebody that you were good enough to get on an opportunity, like a roster, a training camp or whatever, at least a mini camp or whatever, rookie mini camp, and then it doesn't work out and you're going to just jump on back to college football. Is that doing anybody a favor at all? Like, what good is that for you? I think to me, it's first of all bad look. The only good is that you're making NIL money. That's it. Sir, it's time to move on. Get a job. You weren't good enough to play in the NFL, just like most that play college football or any sort of college athletics to make it to the pros. Almost everybody's not good enough to get that far. So hang it up. It's done. The cleats, take them off. No more helmet, no more pads, no more college football. You gave the pros a try. It's over. However, yet that might be an option. But honestly, I hope it's not. And obviously, it wouldn't be an option. All right, well, 20 questions in 20 shows is going to be what K-State does with the offensive line, a breakdown of that, what it looks like now. Now that we got 2 guys out for the season, they're 2 fifth-year guys, so their careers are done. Michael Capria is the only lineman now that can play, is healthy, as far as we know, and is a fifth-year guy. Everybody else, I mean, that's just kind of the, where the glass is half full right now, is these guys who are going to get to play that haven't played a whole lot in their careers, if at any time they play in their careers, and are going to really have to probably grind early, but a lot of experience is now up for grabs for those that maybe haven't played a lot of football. What if things kind of click? What if it works out? But still a lot of questions remain about how will K-State adjust. You do have an elusive quarterback, a very quick quarterback, good on his feet. I'm thinking the rollouts to the right. Now, we'll see. We'll talk about it. Stan Weber, K-State color analyst, coming up next here on The Game.
Manhattan's first for news, sports, weather, and talk since 1950. This
Hour two of the game. The game after work, Mitch Fortner, Cole Dutchendorf, Lane Lewison. Here in a moment, we'll be joined by Stan Weber, K-State color analyst. The breaking news from today, John Pastore, George Fitzpatrick, both from the K-State offensive line, out for the season. John Pastore, lower leg injury. George Fitzpatrick, it's the same thing that it was a little over a year ago now that kept him out of the 2025 season. That George Fitzpatrick, because of that medical episode, is still not where he needs to be, and the doctors are not giving, certainly from what they're seeing, are seeing anything that would be positive enough that George could be on the field for this season. So, it makes me think: is there any permanent damage there? I'm sure George has been working hard trying to fight back and get to a spot where he could play, but unfortunately, it hasn't happened, and Fitzpatrick, transfer from Ohio State before last season, was projected to be the starter at left tackle. He's out. John Pastore played last year at left tackle, did a solid job, second team All Big 12, and now he is out, and now the starting job to be left tackle is up for grabs. And as Coach Klein said earlier today, fighting for that position, he mentioned three names: Oliver Miller, a true freshman, which Colin said not long ago that he's the one freshman that has really stood out as a true freshman. There really is only one freshman now, right? Ryan Howard, Will Howard's younger brother, who's a junior, and then Tyler Johnson, who's a senior. He's a transfer from Auburn, who's played 116 offensive snaps, only 7 last season. We're good to go with our special guest. We're now joined by K-State color analyst Stan Weber, joining us here on the game. Stan, unfortunately, it'd be great to have you on. If for the sake of this bad news that we got today, we'll lead off there. Your reaction to John Pastore, George Fitzpatrick out for the rest of this season. How big of news is that for K-State heading into this season?
Big news. You think about John Pastore, the whole conference realizes how good a player he is, and when you've got a ton of turnover, which is what college athletics and college football has, you're going to get a lot of new players, a lot of transfers. When you have a guy who's a returning starter, plays a position like left tackle, and as established as he is, and a great leader, that is a big advantage to have a part of your football team. And everybody in the Big 12 and even nationally have taken notice of what he adds. And then you hear about the internal part of what John Pastore brings to your program, and you say, yeah, you've lost a lot. It's the time of year for me. You got to remember that my kids played at K-State. I have so many friends who played at K-State and lived that experience. Whenever someone gets hurt, it's very individually painful. And I feel that for John, he doesn't get a chance to play this year. And he was an established starter, and you just can't believe this happened right now. So that pain is real for him, his family, and I just don't want to discount that. Like, that's just a punch in the gut. But from a football perspective, things are going to happen throughout a season. And I can't define to you what the 5 to 10 critical adversity situations are going to be for the Cats this year, but they're going to happen. And this has to be just one of them, that you just get to work, you say next man up, you figure it out, and you go to work. So the mentality has got to be, for all of us who are involved in the program and rooting for K-State, is let's find an answer. How are we going to do this the next best way? And maybe you don't run off the left tackle's butt on a running play quite as much as you would have through the first half of the season. Maybe you run the ball to the right, or you throw the ball instead. There are no excuses. You got to come out and work around it and find a way. It's a team, not an individual. And so, that's kind of the almost cold-blooded mentality. It's not what I feel for John, and you wish it wouldn't have happened. A great player. But the fact is, the team is going to have stuff happen throughout the year. If we're talking about it today or 4 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, stuff's going to happen. Like, that's a big punch in the gut. How are you going to win? And then when you go to the game on Saturday, no one cares. Find a way to get it done. So that's what they're going to have to do right now. Figured out there's a lot of guys who've been a part of the offensive line group. They were sorting out a lot of things as we get close to who's going to play where, even what position these guys are going to play. They're positionally able to do different things. So that's the way they've been practicing. And so a lot of decisions have to be made. Didn't think they'd have to talk about who the left tackle would be. I got to admit that. But it just comes in line with the other offensive line questions. Who are the 5 to 8 guys they're going to rely on? Where are they going to position them? What's the best way to get started and take a look? And so that's a part of football. That's a fact. I don't care what happens here or there. We're going to show up and start playing games, and at the end of the day, the team's going to be responsible for finding a way to win.
Maybe a blessing in disguise. No mention of Tanner Morley, who was not at practice, at least when it was open to the media. So hopefully, there's fingers crossed that he's able to play at some point. We'll see him on the field at left guard or wherever he may play. You mentioned the adjustments that this team is going to have to make, even with just the play calling, how a play design, what does Avery do? A lot of talk in this offseason and heading into this year. Colin is back. He's working with Avery. Can he get Avery to that next step, that next level, and make him more of a winning quarterback? To you, what does that look like? What does that mean when the comment is brought up that what Avery needs to do to reach that next level?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. You got to continue to grow and be better. We're in this part of the country where the greatest quarterback resides in Patrick Mahomes. And it just is unbelievable that Patrick Mahomes is working every year to get better, to find ways to improve. Being a starter for the next year like Avery is, that is such an advantage. He's got to grow and develop. Now, what would I want to say to the fans? Like, what kind of things would I be able to describe to you today with your question? A good question. I would start with become a more proficient passer. Right now in big-time sports, NFL, and even down to college football, quarterbacks can throw for 60% plus percentages. Marcel Reed, a lot of people, I'm off on a tangent now, but a lot of people are starting to say, well, he's just going to run Bill Snyder's offense with Coach Klein at the quarterback, and he's going to run him up the middle and get him killed. And Avery's going to have to get tough. What are you talking about? Marcel Reed is a skinny quarterback at Texas A&M that plays a lot like Avery, and he is one of the best quarterbacks in the country last year for A&M. So Colin Klein's not trying to recreate Colin Klein. He's trying to make Avery the best he can be, and that is more passing the football than before. So if you want to look at something, Avery's protected the ball well, not throwing interceptions, but if he has this completion percentage up into 60-65% range, that's going to be an improvement right there. And just add those completions on, and you might talk about a difference in winning and losing games. And the other thing I think you got to do is just be great at situational football. Now, this isn't all on Avery Johnson. This is K-State as a team last year. But remember, K-State lost more close games defined by one score or less than any K-State team in history. They were 6-6 and lost a number of heartbreakers, right? Games that could have turned around the other direction. Well, the quarterback's not solely responsible for that. But, being an old quarterback, and Colin Klein and I have been talking forever since he was a player, and I was a mentor of his in the business college, kind of quarterback to quarterback talk. We do take some responsibility that, we need to find a way to win. Even though it's a team, it's everybody, we need to find a way. And I think Avery ought to take that on as well and say, hey, I'm going to make a few more winning plays. And I would mostly think, look at Patrick Mahomes. What is one of the magical things that the greatest quarterback in the NFL does? If it's 3rd and 3, he somehow gains 4 yards running the football. If he doesn't complete the pass. So he gets in there and makes the play, gets the yardage, and that's all Avery has to do. Just make that first down when it's 3rd and 3, keep the drive alive, protect the ball, throw a higher completion percentage, and I think he's going to show out. And everyone wants to talk about the physicality, the running, and all that. That's going to come naturally. That's not where it is. He needs to be a great passing quarterback, a great situational quarterback to maximize his capabilities, and run when it's there.
Run when it's there. I mean, what you mean by that? If it's just if the middle is open, or if he's able to scramble and get to the outside and take off and run, that's what you mean. Like, are you wanting to see any more design runs?
Don't have to see any more designed runs. They might. The great thing about designed runs is not because Bill Snyder stuck his head in the ground and just wanted to kill his quarterback. No, you get an extra blocker. So I love quarterback run. So, they can bring quarterback run in critical situations, but a lot of times it's to keep the defense off balance. Not like Colin, where everyone knew, shotgun, here comes Colin, can you stop him? I don't see that. Now, answer your question best, it's a pass play. You get the ball, you look, and suddenly you realize with the pass rush, you can't control what the pass rush does. But all of a sudden, the pass rush ends up being to your left and to your right. Now you're a quarterback sitting in the pocket who can complete a 10-yard pass. Don't get me wrong. But at that point, you got to flip the switch and go, no, I can run for the 5 yards and get a first down without taking any risks. No drop passes, no slipping out of my fingertips with the ball, no overthrows. That's what I'm saying, situationally running. You can't drop back and pass saying, I'm going to run. You've got to drop back to pass saying you're going to pass. But when it unfolds and you go, oh, I'm going to just take candy from a baby, go take it. And with Avery, if he can get that first down, he may go another 20 yards. Or if he's scrambling out to the left. You can see it in your mind's eye. It looks like he's got an angle, probably going to get around the corner. But he's also got a guy 15 yards downfield, cutting out toward the sideline where you can stick the ball on him and complete a pass. What should he do? Well, I tell you what, the fact is, I don't know if you saw the video of the Seattle Seahawks on HBO's Inside the NFL. Mm-hmm. No, not Inside the NFL, Hard Knocks. Did you see any of that?
I did.
Most fans didn't. Milrose is a quarterback from Alabama. And the head coach, the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl winning head coach, was in the quarterback room, and he's a defensive guru who calls defensive plays. And he was begging his young quarterback to run, begging him and saying it's the worst thing that any defensive coordinator wants to see is the quarterback scramble. So if you can get going and you can get past the first down marker, run. This is an NFL coach telling a young quarterback that this is what you ought to do. That's powerful. That's what I'm talking about. Don't force the run, but when you get around the corner, don't try to complete the 15-yard pass if you're 5 yards from the line of scrimmage and 7 yards from a first down. Just go get it and use your speed, and sometimes you end up with Avery's speed, boom, going 30 yards or running out of bounds and not getting hit and getting a first down. That's what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? Like, don't try to make the big play in passing when you can go get it with your legs, but you can't choose which play. You got to use your legs. It's not forced. It's reactionary.
Stan Weber is our guest. One more thought on the offense here. I mean, there is, to me, excitement wherever you look. If it's tight end, the depth there, the potential of Lincoln Cure, of course, and Garrett Oakley. This could be an NFL year for him. The wide receivers could be deep. Running back looks like a three-headed monster. Is there anything that stands out that I mentioned that you're maybe looking forward to the most to seeing its potential play out?
Well, I'm always looking forward with all the new guys to see who steps forward and really makes a play. Okay, so that's a simple answer. But if you look a little bit deeper, the guy that I am super excited about seeing his development, and it's a little bit of a personal thing where I was watching on television, and I was sitting next to Wyatt, and we were watching a football game on TV, and I said, I love the way that guy plays. I mean, that is how you play the running back position. Look at that. Wyatt, look. That's a perfect – look at the physicality. Man, that dude's tough. Oh, wow, he's fast. Great decisions. Get your foot up. You plant your foot and get upfield. I go, wow, that guy's incredible. That is what a running back needs to look like. I'm talking to Wyatt generically, okay? Just kind of football geeking out. And I don't do that all the time. I'm just so excited. That guy was Jay Harris. I had no idea he was going to end up at K-State. Zero idea that he would ever play for K-State. So the fact that I was doing backflips about this college player, which I rarely get excited about, guys, I just kind of watch it all, I was so excited about what he brought. And now that he's a K-Stater, I love his attitude. I loved Joe Jackson a couple of years ago when he was a backup. I told people who listen on the radio, I love how this guy runs the football. He makes good decisions. I was excited about Joe Jackson, and he's all grown up and legit. I'm not downgrading Joe Jackson at all, but to see Jay Harris come in after he does or together really gets me excited. These two guys at running back, and that's not to say that Rodney Fields isn't going to bring his deal either, but I'm just more familiar with Joe, trusted him from the first time I saw him run the ball when he's a backup, and now he's grown up since that Utah game. He's been killing it, just a different type of kid, a leader. But Jay Harris is someone I brought from the Dream Factory. I mean, I was watching TV, and I never thought this kid playing for Oregon would ever be in a K-State uniform. I can't wait to see him go.
Have you met him in person? Have you met Jay in person? Because if you just see him in person, he passes the eye test. The physique is it's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing I geek out on is people laugh at me like, man, you're weird when I say oh, that guy looks like a model. Like you put a dude in a football uniform, it always looks beautiful to me, okay? You can weigh 350 or 180. So don't get me wrong, I get excited about it, but there are certain guys where they look like Greek gods to me. Like I go, wow, that is a beautiful specimen of athlete. And he does. There's no doubt. I've seen him at practice, and he looks the part, but every coach has told me so many good things about him, about his attitude. He's not coming here like, hey, I'm Nike, I'm Oregon, whatever. No, he's just coming and working. Look at the respect he's showing. He knows Joe Jackson is a big leader on his team. He knows Joe Jackson is a starter on his team, and all he's done is said, that's fine, I'll work. But I think he catches the ball well. I think he has great instincts. He's big and strong. He just has added depth. I really think our running back room is going to be very, very good. And that's not that downgrade other things. But it goes back to what you talked about before. Do I really need to see Avery run the ball that much? No. Situationally. Cut their heart out. Make the Seattle Seahawks coach cry as a defensive guy once in a while. But no, I want to see Joe Jackson, Jay Harris, and Rodney Fields get after it in the running game.
Well, now I need to ask you the same question the way I asked it on just defense as a whole, because there's a lot of potential with depth. A lot of really nice pieces have been added. The secondary seems pretty exciting. But that's also the side of the football that's been just bringing every day the energy to practice, and that's Jordan Peterson leading that group, leading that energy. But I want to ask you that same question because your answer was so good. So who is that guy or that group on defense that you can't wait to see?
Well, it's really a group of guys that are coming together, mixing and matching. I love the philosophy and what Jordan Peterson brings, what he's trying to do. I think what someone that comes out in my mind right away is Zayshawn Rich. We've seen guys play for K-State, and I don't know how much we appreciated them or how good we thought they were, and then they're on to the NFL and starting in the NFL and playing cornerback. I think Zayshawn Rich has really stepped his game up. He might be one of those guys that's the next pro. He's a Swiss Army knife. He'll do whatever. He's got a great attitude. I really think he could take it to the next level. Now, on the defense, I think there's some development factors here. Like sometimes it might be, what is this guy going to do in the future? Not flashing today, okay? Because when I said Jay Harris, I'm talking about today. As you're asking me this question on defense, I have a lot more room to say trending in a way I really like Logan Bartley. Remember his finish off of last year? I don't think there's any limit to how good he can be. I think what JoJo Scott is doing right now is trend line super in the right direction. And the rules help us because if a guy could only play 4 years and needed a red shirt, you'd have to start making decisions on some of these guys. And you'd have to almost limit them and go, I know we like what you're doing. I know we love what you're trending toward, but you're probably not going to be on the travel roster or be that big a factor, so we're going to redshirt you. You know what's great about it right now? We don't need to redshirt anybody. And that allows a guy like JoJo Scott to maybe be a star player by the end of the year. I'm not going to limit him. He might be a star player by the end of the year. He might be a starter, or he may be on his way to being a good player down the road, like we've seen guys with develop. So Logan Bartley's a year ahead. I think he's ready to step in and be a good starter. But, I would start with Zayshawn Rich. I really like what he brings, the talent he brings, and I think he's a real difference maker on the defense. But it's more wait and see. I'm really interested in what scheme they're going to use. Every down's going to be different, and different guys are going to be used, mixed and matched, and do some things. So I can't wait to see how they play and which guys deserve, like when we're doing the games. I'm a big guy to, not that preseason projections don't do a lot for me. I like when they do it on the field, when people are listening to the broadcast with Wyatt and me, when I'm saying, that guy's showing out. That guy can play. Kind of like I was doing when I was watching Jay Harris to Wyatt, just between him and I, when I'm on the air saying, I don't know why I feel good about this guy, but I did that. Here's an old story. To give you an example. Terrence Newman, the second highest guy drafted in the draft in K-State history, walked onto the field in the fourth quarter, maybe a little bit earlier than that. I'm not going to say what quarter. Walked onto the field in the Cotton Bowl in the snow against Tennessee as a backup. And the game started unfolding, and I started telling Greg Sharp, who was the play-by-play guy then, oh boy, I like what I'm seeing out of Terrence Newman. I would not have said that 4 days earlier. I wasn't sitting there going, oh boy, he's really doing good in practice. I don't get caught up in that too much. I'm more like, oh boy, I think Terrence Newman is, whoa. That was his first game that he was really playing in, coming in as a backup, and I could see it that fast. So I'm really kind of looking forward to that, to say, wipe the slate clean. I don't really have a lot of intentional expectations about the defense from what Jordan Peterson's going to do or the players. So I wish I could answer it better, but I'm much more excited about check in with me after halftime of the Nichols game, and I'll have some opinions, I bet.
Well, Stan, I'll leave you with and ask you about this one final thought because of course, your son is now back at K-State, special teams coordinator. I'm a huge special teams guy. If I was to reverse the roles and you asked me the question that I just asked you twice, I'm going special teams. I can't wait to see if it is Brandon White. If my dreams come true, he's the next Brandon Banks. A lot of that has to do with his size.
Let's go, yeah.
But slot guy and short, and I could see it. I hope it happens. But it could be other guys as well. But is this going to be your first real chance to watch Stanton be a coach since he's been like a really hands-on special teams guy, or the full job, the coordinator?
It's been 5 years. He was heavily involved in his analyst role at K-State, both with Bill Snyder and then GA, et cetera, with Chris Kleiman. So I really felt that connectivity, like he was diving deep into the special teams. So no matter what his role was, it felt like there's that connectivity. Like I was watching my son coach. Oh, by the way, Landry, my son, was on special teams. So that was a double hit, right? There's a lot of fun on those special teams plays, especially those returns. How about that touchdown against Mississippi State in 2019? That kind of thing on the road. So, yeah, that's a highlight. It's great to have him back home. And I would say this, I think a lot of parents would understand this. If you saw your son or daughter get promoted, but you realize that they had been promoted outside of their readiness, everyone would tell you how great it is, but you'd be a little bit more pessimistic, like, I don't know. I'm a little scared because what happens if they fail, that kind of thing. I'll say to you right now, and I hopefully it doesn't sound too cocky, but I've been monitoring Stanton's career the last 5 years when he's left K-State very closely and monitoring his growth as a coach and everything else. And the greatest news is everyone is so excited for me that I know that, hey, Stanton's back home. Most people, I believe, are excited that Stanton's coaching K-State special teams. But you know what really makes it good for me is I can smile with him and have that same joy, not just because he's in town or it sounds like a good story. I believe in him. Like, I believe we got the right guy. This is not too big for him. He has absolutely been trained and is ready to excel in the Big 12 as a special teams coordinator. So I don't go into the season with nervousness at all of, hey, I hope he's not been over-promoted. And my nephew, I'll call him my nephew for kind of a weird way of saying it. That's how I feel about Colin Klein. Colin Klein's family, Colin has been so close with me and my family. Gary Spaney's a good friend. I mean, for Shaylin, his wife. Seeing Colin out there in his new role and seeing Stanton back in this role, I could be very nervous about, I hope those guys don't fail. I hope they're not being put in the deep end before they know how to swim. I'm telling you, I think these guys are ready. I have full confidence that K-State's in great hands with Colin Klein, and the fact that he wanted Stanton to be the special teams coordinator, I think, is a very sound decision.
That first kick return, even if it's 6 or 7 yards deep, it's coming out, right? Got to give it a crack on the first try.
Come on, man. You think like me.
Yeah.
These analytics people are like, nah, let's take it at the 25. Let's just take it at the 25. I'm with you. Let's bring it. So I don't know. If Stan Weber were the head coach, I'd say unleash the K-State kickoff return. Okay? We might get tackled at the 22, but you know what? We might be at the 37, or we might be at midfield, or we may be dancing in the end zone. And the only way we do that is if we bring it out. So I'm with you. I love the suggestion.
Yeah.
Have you been listening to me? I thought I only talked to Wyatt once in a while about this stuff. Here you are. I love it.
Believe me, Wyatt and
I don't think Stan will do it. I don't think Colin will allow him. But I'm like, let's bring it. Don't kneel down 3 yards deep. Come on, let's go.
It's I think it's what fans expect. It's K-State's DNA, but Wyatt and I have certainly talked about it. It just if there's anybody that could come back and really make K-State special teams what we remember, the glory days, which was so many years, Stanton has that in his DNA. So I think that's what just makes it so exciting to see that potential.
Well, I hope so. But, Stan's an analytics guy, and he respects the heck out of who the head coach is. So
Sure.
We can't just run and gun and, shoot dumb shots, basketball terms. They're going to be super disciplined in what they do. But I'm with you. Come on. I think the chances of us getting stopped before the 25 are only some, and our chances of blowing a hole and scaring the heck out of the opponent on kickoff returns is great. So I'm hoping 1 yard deep we're rolling. 2 yards deep we're rolling. I know 3 yards deep they're going to probably kneel down, but I'm with you. Why not 4 yards deep? Let's go.
Hey,
I think it's a dangerous play, man. I think we are good at kickoff returns. Super scary. And if I'm the opponent, I'm hoping the Cats kneel down. I am begging for my kicker to make them kneel down and not return it. So if that's what you're thinking, I want you to make the decisions. Why don't you just say, let's go, no touchbacks. We're bringing them all out. But that's crazy. That's not good football. But I believe in the K-State special teams so much on kickoff returns especially. I would be way more aggressive. But that's why I'm not the coach. I'm just the announcer. And I know my position. I've been doing it for 40 years. I want to do my job, and that is just help this football team win in any way we can.
I'm the choir, and you're preaching to it. That's what I want, at least for the first one. The first one against Nichols, let's give it a try. Let's get crazy. After that, we can be a little smarter about it. With that, Stan, it's always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. The Royals got it done, so I hope you're having a really good day and enjoy the rest of it, sir. Thank you so much.
I had a big day at the Royals. Big day at the Royals. So let's keep winning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Stan. That's Stan Weber, K-State color analyst here on The Game. Always great to talk to Stan. He's always got a lot of fun things to say. He's still very amped up about this season. Everybody should still be very amped up for this season. 16 days out. By the way, K-State soccer is playing right now. They're leading 1-0 against Missouri State at Boozer Family Park, 26th minute. We'll take a break. More of The Game coming up next. Well, a big thank you to Stan Weber. Always great. Always great to talk to him. Full of energy. Good stuff there from K-State's radio analyst. He's been doing this for a while. I believe he's a season or two away from 500 consecutive football games called. Good stuff. We'll get to 20 questions and 20 shows here in just a moment. Another K-State soccer update. Still 1-0, 32nd minute at Boozer Family Park. The thing I want to bring up, though, about this is the score isn't necessarily saying this, but the rest of the stats are saying this, is that the Wildcats are absolutely dominating this match because K-State shots are 14-0. Only one, though, has been able to get to the back of the net. What that tells me, I'm not even watching this match, but what it's telling me is that there's a lot of respect on K-State's offense. What Missouri State is doing is they're just sitting back and trying to not have this be 6-0.
14 shots is crazy in the first half.
Yeah, they are having to play back. They're parking the bus. It's K-State getting a lot of offensive possession time. 5 shots on goal out of the 14. So K-State's just, they're just trying to see what they could get something to go. A lot of goals are scored off ricochets or a spilled save, and it's rebounded and put back in by the second player there for K-State that's in the right spot, things like that. You just hope K-State can get one more goal and go 2-0 into the half. This is a Missouri State team that lost to KU 7-0. So they probably learned a lesson in their first matchup that they're maybe not that great. And K-State has really shown a lot of good things so far. So a 3-0 start, I would have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure that I think that's happened one time. I don't know if that happened last year, but I remember.
I think it did because they haven't lost an August match since 2024.
Oh, so there you go. But I go back to, I want to say it was year 3. The K-State started 3-0, and they were receiving votes in the top 25. And they went to Santa Clara, and that was a top 25 team. They lost 2-0. So that's about as glory as it gets for the first few seasons of K-State soccer. All right, let's get to 20 questions and 20 shows. I'll continue to give updates as this match is going on. Just didn't want to interrupt Stan with soccer updates. Well, it happens to be about the offensive line today. The breaking news from earlier today, George Fitzpatrick and starting left tackle John Pastore are out for the rest of the season. I want to start this by, first of all, as we're going to lay out what the offensive line looks like right now is basically the question, is Avery Johnson was asked about the offensive line a couple days ago, Tuesday. And I'll play the full answer here, just what he had to say about the offensive line and guys to him that have stood out.
I think it all starts with the center and Dylan Villaro. Young guy, played a bunch of snaps for us last year. But it's really good to see him take, positive steps. And I think he's done a really good job in that room, being a leader, holding guys accountable. And it's hard to come in at it and be in a young position and be sprung into a starter role so quick. But the way he goes about his work, the way he leads that room is really good to see, especially from being an older guy looking down at a younger guy now. I'm really impressed with what he's been able to do. But we've asked a bunch of guys to do a bunch of different things for us this year. I think Ollie, being a true freshman, coming in, taking a bunch of snaps and reps this year. Then you got Chase and we got Gus at the tackle position. We had Ryan Howard take a bunch of snaps for us this year. With all the guys we had banged up in the spring, we had a bunch of guys rotate in and take reps. But I think a lot of the guys are doing a really good job of being able to seize their opportunities and make the most of them. But we got I probably had 10 guys lined up in front of me. And it's really good to see guys like, you got Charlie that's played a bunch of snaps for us, and Keaton and Tyler. We got a bunch of guys that have really done a really good job.
All right, so now listening back to that 2 days later, and especially after the news we heard, no mention of Fitzpatrick, Pastore, Tanner Morley, which right now, as we sit on Tanner Morley, who is projected to be, if healthy, the starting left guard, no mention of him from Coach Klein earlier today or any of the other coaches. So hopefully that's,
good news.
That is good news, and if he has to miss some games, we get it. He's also coming back from a season-ending injury after 4 games playing for Colorado State. But Avery mentioning maybe a couple of names in there that hadn't been mentioned previously that maybe just wasn't expected to be in that 5 to 8 man rotation. Things have changed with injuries that have popped up. Even with just noticing who was either in street clothes or not at practice on Tuesday, it's clear that the offensive line is more banged up than clearly any of the other position groups on this team.
It's kind of confounding. You don't really know what to do with a lot of them, too, because you've heard, again, Tanner Morley is a great example. You've heard he's and kind of expected him to be the starting left guard after that's what he's been at Colorado State over the last couple of years when he hasn't been injured. And then you haven't really heard his name much recently. And you hear, you expect Delvin Morris to be the starting center. Was kind of just, again, penciled in because of what he did at Akron last year. And you really haven't heard his name mentioned. So there are a lot of question marks and kind of just what to expect with this offensive line, I think.
Well, let's start to break this down here. We're going to start at left tackle to replace John Pastore, second team All Big 12 last year, entering his 5th year as, in eligibility. And because of this injury, and it's the same for George Fitzpatrick, now that we're in the 5-5 eligibility rule of college athletics, if they're not playing this year, their eligibility is out. There's no more red shirts. There's no medical red shirts. The only way you can get a waiver to get a year of eligibility back once that clock starts is either pregnancy, military service, or went on a religious mission trip. That one put in for, typically Mormons, right? Going on these mission trips. So that's the only thing that will freeze that clock. If those aren't in play, the clock isn't being frozen. Injuries are not freezing that clock. So unfortunately for those two, their college careers have essentially come to an end. Coach Klein he talked to the media himself at a microphone and told everybody Pastore and Fitzpatrick are out for the season, but mentioned 3 guys that are in the mix to potentially take that spot. And as Sean Gleason said earlier today, the way Coach Klein, he's been very clear about the way he wants to just attack this as a head coach. The best guys are playing. Simple as that. The best guys are playing. 3 guys mentioned: Oliver Miller, who's a true freshman who, when asked by Cole, just who's the true freshman that has stood out and is just making the best of his first experience as a college athlete, Oliver Miller. Oliver Miller is 6'6", 294 pounds from Centennial, Colorado, which he just so happens to be from the same high school, Cherry Creek, as George Fitzpatrick, who is, in a line of kind of somebody he's replacing potentially in a way. This is somebody that obviously Colin mentioned very early, had offers from places like Ohio State. He took a visit to Ohio State. Ohio State tried to flip him, but he's still a Wildcat. Also there, Ryan Howard, Will Howard's younger brother. He's a junior, hasn't played a single snap. And then Tyler Johnson, who is a senior and has played 25 career games at Auburn in the SEC, 116 snaps in those 25 games were offensive. The rest were on special teams, and only 7 snaps last year on offense for Tyler Johnson.
You just don't know what to do with it. I think for left tackle, I'm just going to throw the guy who has a lot of experience at right tackle and has at least played and is older, and I heard his name over the last couple of days, Charlie Adams at Cal Poly last year. I'm going to throw him at left tackle because I just don't know where to put anyone else.
Well, I think Charlie Adams, I think he's a guard.
You think he's going to be guard this year?
I think he's absolutely a guard. Even though he does have experience at multiple positions.
Sure.
It probably makes the most sense for him to be a guard. But I'm going Oliver Miller at left tackle.
You think he's going to be starter day one? But I just am scared, just the freshman offensive line, even though I would love to see it from a progression standpoint and have him in there and hopefully, 3-4 years in the offense. That's super tempting, but that scares me a little bit.
If he's not starter, game 1, play 1, he's going to earn that spot at some point.
I think you throw him in there against Nichols. For sure.
Oh, for sure.
For sure to start.
I don't know if he starts, but you're going to see all 3 of these guys.
Yeah, 100%.
Again, going back to what Stan said, with no more red shirts and no more, can play 4 games and then you can red shirt, and it's Nichols. Look, some of this will be trial by fire.
Yeah.
And who can stand up and make the plays? Who can protect Avery, protect his blind side, get the run block going. at the guard position, I'm throwing left guard and right guard together because, again, I don't know exactly where everybody's going to be playing, but with the exception of where we think Tanner Morley will be. And, again, that's in hopes that he is going to be healthy enough to play at some point. If it's not game one, when that will be, don't know. Don't know the extent of his injury, but we'll see about that. But Delvin Morris, if he's not going to be the starting center, which we did pencil him in there, could he potentially move to a guard spot? Is he going to back up Dylan Villarreal? We'll see. But he has 2 years of full-time experience at Akron. He's only allowed 1 sack in his career.
And he's been all over the line. That's important to note, too.
Keaton Jones only has 4 offensive snaps at Missouri. Chase Duarte with 6 games played, 52 snaps at South Dakota State. And then there is Charlie Adams, who last year at Cal Poly started in 10 games. And look, I agreed with Drew Galloway when he came on a couple of weeks ago and talked about Charlie Adams. He was a clear standout to me as well because, again, he has a high pedigree in not allowing sacks. He has played a lot of football at different positions, and he may just be the best fit to be a left guard or right guard. So those are really your 5 guys, which, it's a mixed bag of experience and also experience kind of all over the landscape of college football at different levels. Again, there will be who will be in that mix. You could probably take an educated guess, but if you're high on Keaton Jones, I get it because coming out of Mizzou as a freshman and coming to K-State with maybe more of an opportunity to play, any of these guys could emerge. I just don't know who that exactly is going to be, who your starters are going to be, what the rotation looks like. Right tackle is Gus Hawkins. I think that's absolutely fair to say. He's not going to be switching to left tackle, even though I threw it out there. It sounds like he's going to be right tackle and stick with it. And then at center, look, Dylan Villarreal is an interesting case because he did get on the field as a true freshman last year. So
Avery basically called him the starting center. He said he's taking that starting job.
Yeah, pretty much. And it sounds like, and I mentioned it, I just kind of threw it out there. It could be one of those things where if it was Delvin Morris that was going to be the guy, because of these injuries, maybe this is just sliding somebody over and Dylan Villarreal has earned the right. Or this actually, and I wouldn't argue against it if this is the case, he just won the job outright.
It's possible.
I mean, is it just a coincidence that in his reserve time, the only 43 snaps he played, he was a kind of a key piece into K-State setting a school record 472 rushing yards against Utah, and he was also on the field that Joe Jackson had his best moments in the Colorado game the next game and became a more consistent running back.
Some are asking.
He was on the field for all of that.
He was.
Now, again, against Utah, he wasn't on every single play that sprung either Joe Jackson or Antonio Martin or Avery Johnson, open for a long touchdown run. But that's when he really started to see the field. So is that just a coincidence or not? Well, if he's starting to earn this center job, that is something. That's something very significant. So that is something to take very seriously if he is the starting center. I can understand why he is earning that job. He impressed the coaches enough to, and I know the O-line still had their issues. Guys were banged up. Some were in and out of the lineup with injuries, but he found his way on the field as a true freshman. And to make your way on the offensive line as a true freshman to get out there is not an easy thing to do. We're talking significant snaps, and K-State has a team that's on the verge potentially of making the college football playoff on the ropes, and he's playing in those moments. So that is something to take into consideration. So that's basically where we sit right now. It's a very mixed bag where there's a chance that there could be quite a handful of guys with really no experience that are playing significant snaps on September 5th. We'll take a timeout. We'll wrap it all up with Ask Us Anything after these words.
All right, question for today, Mitch, and this is courtesy of Lane, is what sport that you haven't broadcast would you like to broadcast? And maybe feel free to go exotic with it too. I'm going to make it a little bit more interesting. Let's do like an Olympic sport.
Man, it's not Olympic sport, but man, it seems like every time I hear a call of horse racing, it's pretty electric.
There are some really fun ones for that.
But I mean, I've called football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, soccer. I think that's it. Golf seems really easy. I could step in and do some golf. That probably pays pretty well too.
What about not football, basketball, like specifically, like for me, like soccer in Europe? I feel like broadcasting that would be just fantastic because of the energy from the crowd.
I don't think anybody in Europe or England, anywhere in Europe where soccer is just big time, or South America, wants to hear an American call their action.
Probably not.
Believe me, I've kind of looked into it because of my soccer experience. Yeah, nobody wants to hear that.
They're not feeling it.
Yeah, Sporting KC or bust for me. Well, looks like we have ran out of time. We didn't have a full show today, but we do have to plan. We have a plan to do a full show tomorrow. Part 2 of third down song requests. I got a list of them. It's our final part as well. We'll figure out what we're going to send over to K-State. For Lane, Cole, I'm Mitch. We'll see you tomorrow. Go Cats.